seems like it's been a couple years since we've been able to do that, so we appreciate you being here. We'll go ahead and get started. This is the Centerville Community School District. This is a, this is regular hearing, it's regular meeting, right?
Yes.
Yeah, regular meeting of the Centerville Community School District. It is October 10th, 2022, at 5:30 p.m. in the Centerville Administrator's Office. The Centerville Community School District mission is all students will learn well, become lifelong learners, and contribute positively to society. This meeting is now called to order with a roll call, please.
Moore.
Here.
Mike Thomas.
Here.
Bob Thomas.
Here.
Shondell.
Here.
Berger.
Here.
Carter.
Here.
Liskus.
Here. We'd like to welcome any visitors that we have tonight. Are you going to talk to us, or you just? Good. Perfect. Awesome. So welcome, and we would just like to open up the public forum. If there's anybody from the public that would like to make any comments at this time. And I don't, only because that's showing the camera there, I don't see the social media feed. I don't know if that's, if there's anybody online
There is.
that wants to make a comment. Okay, hearing no comments from the public, we'll move on to approving the agenda. A motion and a second to approve the agenda, please. So moved. Second. We have a motion second to approve the agenda. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. And next, so the agenda is approved. Now we need to approve the meeting minutes from previous meetings. Everybody had a chance to read those in the packet? Okay. Questions, comments? Otherwise, a second and a motion and a second to approve the meeting minutes. Motion to approve. Second. We have a motion and a second to approve the previous meeting minutes. All in favor, signify by saying aye. 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 All opposed? There is no old business. We'll move into new business. First is to approve the out-of-state overnight FAA trip, and I believe that's why you're here, right?
That would be me. So I'm asking.
Go ahead, come on. A little closer. Introduce, because I don't know if all board members know you. You got some new ones.
You can feel free to have a seat.
Yeah.
We'll go back.
We want, yeah. A little to the left, a little to the right.
Make the hot seat a little less.
Elizabeth Lexton, I'm an FFA advisor in ag teacher at the high school and have been so for 14 years. And I'm asking permission to take students, FFA members, on a trip to the National Western Stock Show in January in Denver.
Okay.
FFA has the funds to pay for this. The only thing that we would be asking of the school is a sub for me for the days we're on.
Okay. What about, how's the transportation going to work?
We're going to take the train.
Really?
And
Okay.
back. We did the same trip, I believe it was in 18, might have been in 17. And we took the Amtrak there.
That's it. Okay.
And we have worked out, we've talked through prior to coming to the board meeting, how the students will make up any missed work for any school days that are missed, to make sure that that's taken care of.
How many days is the trip?
The 7th through the 10th is what I'm thinking, but right now that's still flexible.
Okay.
How many students?
I'm comfortable taking about 7, and the budget that I put forth is for 7.
Are there any other chaperones or just yourself?
It would just be me.
Motion to approve the trip. Second.
Okay, we have a motion second to approve the trip to the national, for the FAA to go to the National Western Stock Show. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Have a great trip. Hey, seriously, call me. I'm going to tell you a story about the Western Stock Show sometime.
Okay.
I'll just tell you before you go so you got a little fine picture. I think you'll find it interesting.
So we may ask that group to come back and talk to
Yes.
us at a work session after they've gone to kind of share what was great about it,
Perfect.
kind of celebrate that work.
Yep.
Yep.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks for what you do. That'll be a good experience for the kids. Okay. And I think that would be a really great student success thing for them to come back, and so I appreciate that, you mentioned that. Okay. 2022-2023 fundraising calendar. I don't know if Parker's on the line.
Rich is on his way.
He is, okay. Did he tell you how soon it's gonna be, or? Could we, do we want to approve this, or do we want to have questions for Rich?
I just had a couple questions on there, and I don't know, maybe it could be in this room. Noticed October and March organization, we had boards covered, which fantastic organization, but was kind of curious with the Centerville Community Food Pantry started out, if that was something that could be addressed or used with.
I guess, let's wait for Rich, because he might know that's like a historical we do every year type thing.
Right.
So we'll just, let's go ahead and table this until Rich gets in here, so we can ask him that.
Motion to table.
Thank you, motion,
Second.
and second to table it. I guess, do we need to vote on that, or is this just a point of personal privilege that we can just?
vote on.
All right, all in favor of tabling this until Rich Parker
Oh,
gets
he's
in?
sitting here.
Oh. This is where we just pause and wait for him to walk in.
Just wanted to make an entrance.
I do have a question, I think it's one that probably maybe legal advice on.
Okay,
So the pitting wars for the board's covered.
well, I think that's what he's asking about.
Well, no, I think it's different, I think what my question. So is that considered a cash donation from us, basically the same as what the concert association asked for?
That's not using district funds.
It is, well, it's under the district though. The
Is
check,
that under district?
I think the checkbook is under the district.
But it's not.
I think they're
taxpayer
taking
funds.
they're taking the pennies. Right.
You can do,
One day.
from my understanding, you can do a donation, the activity fund can do a donation if that is the fundraiser, if they're saying. you know, like-
Might not have a seat up here.
Sorry, I forgot.
No, you did.
If they're specifically like, I don't know, the one that we do for pennies or the Heart Association.
It's a pass.
We'll double check.
Yeah,
My thought is though, because they're actually taking the jar of pennies, or, well, not jar, I'm sure it's like a bucket of pennies, or a garbage can of pennies, hopefully, directly to the place. I think it'd be like taking in can donations at that
If
point.
it's a pass-through, like
That's
it's
a
taking
pass-through.
it in and it's gone right out.
But that's
But we
a
check.
fair question.
I know they take them to the bank to count them.
okay.
We have kids do that.
I mean, it's a good question from a
Thursday.
legal standpoint, but we're finding out a lot of things over there, so.
I'll-
Yeah.
Okay, I
Okay,
didn't want to get into bond that was.
all right. Derek, your question?
Yeah, so, Rich, I was just curious, on the Lord's covered, yeah, I know this has probably been a historical thing that we've done. Didn't know if there was any thought or anything as far as, you know, some of the pantry that we're just getting going. I know right now it's not really under the umbrella of the district per se, but I didn't know if there was any.
Honestly, it may already be going there. That's just been called the Lord's covered for fundraiser for so long. It was before I was even here. So is that the junior high one? Or is it who's doing
It doesn't say, it just says Lord's covered.
it? I think that starts.
Penny Wars.
Penny Wars.
Oh, that's okay. That'd be Catherine. I can ask him. Lord's covered.
Oh, that's the student council one.
Yeah, and I think the middle school student council gets involved with that as well.
Okay.
So, yeah, I can sure check.
Okay.
But either way, it goes to a great cause.
I think that's just what we would do then. And maybe one of the food pantry.
Okay.
Separate of that, one thing that we'll have to determine as a district is we don't currently have a place for funds for the Centerville Food Bank to go. It doesn't have an account, we'd have to open a whole separate enterprise fund to run it through the district, so there's a lot of.
Could that not get ran through booster club type activity funds or something potentially?
That would be,
So you're saying if the community in general wanted to donate to the food
to the
pantry,
food
run a.
pantry, there's not currently a banking account for that.
Because we ran into that when that first big truckload that was unloaded, we had, checks in hand, and so it's kind of
Right.
up in limbo.
Right, we've got some questions out about what we can do with that, but right now, the best we've gotten back is that we need an enterprise fund for it, which then that there's some work to do with SBRC, I think, with enterprise funds to get approval and everything for that. So stay tuned. More information to come.
Now it's time to clean up all these little legal ambiguities. So.
Yeah. I don't look good in stripes or orange. So.
I like orange, but there's only one time I wanted to see the new law center.
So I would move we approve the 2022-23 fundraising calendar.
Second.
Subject to review?
Right.
Subject to review on the ones that we talked about, okay. So, all in favor of approving the 2022-23 fundraising calendar subject to review of the Lord's Covered Penny Wars? All in favor signify by saying aye.
I didn't
Oh,
put
oh.
a second, did I?
No, we didn't get a second.
I heard a second.
No.
Yeah, second.
Yeah,
Okay.
Derek
Got you
seconded.
second.
So I didn't hear it. So there.
Yep, Derek seconded, yep. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Thanks for everything you do, Rich.
No problem.
Thanks for being here. You spend a lot of nights out doing stuff for the district, for kids and your
And Saturday.
Yeah. Do a lot of those things, so appreciate that, so, okay. Approve the annual depository amount. Lisa, walk us through this one.
This is just an annual, another one of those annual items where the district has to say where they're going to deposit their money.
And,
Can't leave that out, and an amount,
yeah.
so.
Remember, one of the things auditors came up is we had approved this, but we didn't say, we approved how much could be deposited, but not where. And so they found that little technicality of where. So we're gonna clean up the where of this. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so, any questions on that? Just need a motion to second, and it is kind of in the, this be meeting minutes here. So it's a motion to do the annual depository amount to Iowa Trust Savings Bank for $35 million.
Motion to approve?
Second.
We have a motion, a second, to approve the annual depository amount and location. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you very much. All right, initial review of board policies 401.14, 408.1, and 802.4.
So this is not an official reading of these policies, this is just with our plan that we've outlined, where we have one meeting where we just get them, so you've got them to look at before the first reading. These are pulled directly from Iowa Association of School Boards, from their recommended language. These were part of the policy primer for this quarter. And just directly what they've got, all changed by changes in Iowa code in the last year.
And those have to do with employees' expression / free speech, professional development, and capital assets.
So the only option on this was number in 802.4. The only thing that was listed was a blank on the Iowa Association of School Boards exemplary policies was the amount that it requires for an asset to be capitalized, meaning that we account for it via our capital assets, and our number has typically been 2,500, so we put that number in.
So there's gonna be a lot of things in the high school edition that are gonna be capitalized.
It'll go as one big,
It'll just, so you're not doing like, it's just be one great big capital, so we're not gonna go into.
unless, I mean, like furniture would be.
Like a stove would be
separate.
capitalized.
Yeah.
So, will like, these all get asset tags in classroom chairs and tables and all that kind of stuff? Or is it just gonna be a mass?
It's like a chair probably wouldn't be, because it would be below that amount, a table would probably be below that amount, but
But,
by the time you get into things like a teacher's desk, that might be,
Right.
there's a possibility that would be
but
that amount.
there's gonna be a lot of tagging that's gonna have to happen probably with that project, so, okay.
How are you gonna do that?
Lots of hard work, unfortunately, it's so hard. Darren is gonna just have fun, right?
I've been involved in this sort of thing before, and it is
Well,
labor intensive,
that's why I'm asking, because we got some time to figure it out.
especially the review.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, the yearly review.
Mhm.
Yeah, well, that's really where I'm going through with tables. I mean, if you're gonna buy $100,000 of tables and chairs, does that count as above the 2,500, or does the individual item within that have to count above
The
2,500?
individual item has to.
Okay, got it.
I think the first thing you should do is raise it from 2,500 to like at least 5,000, okay? I don't know whether that's allowed or,
We can see what's out there and kind of bring that back to the table.
well,
for the
it-
first
because
reading,
it,
everybody.
I mean, in it, you know, ones that I have been involved in, you almost need a shipping and receiving point and someone to, you know, catalog this in and take it to the appropriate
Right,
place. And then the yearly review is to, you know, to, basically it's an inventory of where is all this stuff.
yeah.
Right.
That's.
So, yeah, that's kind of where
And we have a process for that already.
Yeah.
So.
because I've been in places where every chair had a tag.
Yeah, I mean,
So I just, you know, be smart and look at that one, because I don't think we need to count every chair.
We can find, kind of what other people are doing and make sure 2,500 is still
I
standard.
don't think you would want to increase that, because you could have something that's 2,500 that needs to be recorded as a fixed asset on your general ledger, so. it
Well,
could
and
be-
the other thing to take into account too is that if it's used for the school lunch program, it's gonna be 500.
Right, it has to be
Okay.
that, yeah.
And that's federal law there.
Okay. All right.
So a lot of stuff in the school lunch program.
I think what you're hearing from us is be smart about the number, how to do it, so.
Yeah. You can.
All right, so again, initial review, not an official reading of this. When we met, planning the meeting, we thought we'd throw these in here so that we can kind of move all this along a little bit. Instead, typically, we'd introduce them at a work session, but there's only 3 policies, and these are new ones that just popped up, right?
If we just got that, hopefully,
So we get a,
policy governor.
okay. All right, any questions? We don't need to take any actions. This is just putting the additional review of the board policies out there. Any other questions on them?
I'll pull down, because the Association of School Boards Policy Primer website lets you pull down, like, anybody who uses Simply, you can pull their policies for that one down, and we can pretty easily find out where they capitalize, and I'll put that in one of my superintendent updates, so y'all have that information as soon as possible.
And as I read through these, the 408.1 talks about, you know, staff professional development. I just want to take the opportunity to say thank you for everybody on the board who is going to take on kind of board level professional development to go to IASD here next month. So that's coming up in about 6 weeks. And just, again, it's just, I know it's a few days out of everybody's jobs and work and everything. So I just appreciate everybody at the board level kind of lead by example and do personal professional development going through the convention. So just want to say thanks for that. All right, moving on to item E, the first reading of Board Policies Series 100. So we introduced these at the work session a few weeks ago. So you've had time to look at these. Mark, do you want to lead us through any discussion or?
I did miss a couple edits that Bobby asked me about, so I have those down. On the new 101 policy, I missed pre-K instead of kindergarten, so we're getting that changed. New 101.3 also had a spot where it said kindergarten instead of PK. New 102, there was an additional use of the word "to" in the second paragraph, just kind of randomly in the middle of the paragraph. And then new 101, there's an extra comma that isn't needed. So we got those.
And it's page 47 of the board pack electronically, and it's 102.B1. Okay, well, page 47. I think this is a format. I didn't have time to, I should have got this ahead of time, but.
All right, from there.
All right, see, it says educational, equal education opportunity, below it says annual notice of non-discrimination. And then after all the deleted lines, it says the Central School District offers current technical program to study.
Programs in the following areas to study.
It doesn't mention the heading.
yeah, I wondered about that too.
and it jumps down here. Got this in there.
Right,
Are those lines supposed to be in there?
yeah, they have to be.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, because it so, for the camera's sake, the lines that we're talking about, in board policy, when we talk about non-discrimination and equal opportunity, it specifically lists the areas that we provide career and technical programs
Okay.
in. Because this is actually, this specific course of non-description is geared directly at career and technical programs.
Okay, that makes more sense now. Because I thought that was just those current technical programs where it was like interjected in there. That didn't make any sense to me.
Sorry, that, it does look kind of jarring.
Okay,
It looks
okay,
very jarring.
all right. Got it. That's the only question
The
I
formatting
had.
is kind of funny though.
Yeah. Now you can fix that up, so, okay. Got it. Okay.
Sorry about that.
No, that's okay. That's the only question I had on the 100 service policy. Anybody else have any questions on the 100 service policies? None?
We did, so one option that was available in these, and I want to try to make sure that I call out when there's options. You were allowed to select a timeline that somebody has to report if there's a concern for discrimination. We followed the number that was recommended by Iowa Association of School Boards, which I think was, like 6 months in one spot, 30 days in another spot. So the timelines in these are directly from ISB's recommendation, but we do have flexibility within reason in that if we felt there were concerns with those. And then also, an option you have is whether to list an individual person's name or a position for who to contact in the case of discrimination. We decided instead to list a position, so that if there were turnover in staff, you wouldn't have to adjust board policy each time.
Okay. Any other questions on 100 series policies?
I guess,
Go ahead.
go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Where it says the decision of the superintendent shall be final.
Yeah, they had that in there, and I felt really weird having that in a policy. I don't know why they have that there. Feels awfully strange to ever be a person who's saying, well, my decision is final.
Well, you know what, I guess I always, for lack of a better word, I thought we were running this place.
Right.
Yeah, and,
What page is that on?
It's in a couple places, isn't it in 2 places on that?
yeah, it
And
is.
grievance procedure. I can't remember what the spot was.
I do remember seeing that. I can't remember where it was.
It just
Yeah, I'm not.
struck me
sure why
as,
that-
as funny,
And
okay?
it's a very random, out of nowhere sentence too.
But this came from,
Came from IASB that way.
And,
I don't know why, and I can ask why.
oh, there it is. There's one on page 46, decision of superintendent.
So Mike, do you want that to come before the board?
I think that someone should have the opportunity to bring it before the board. I mean, that's what we signed up for.
Yeah, we can ask how we can word that. I think it's very fair, because the problem is if it's there, then the next appeal place is the Iowa Department of Education.
Is it possible that the board can?
It might be. So that's probably.
What'd you
the
say,
real
Lisa?
question.
Is it possible that the board can make those decisions maybe?
What's the policy number that you're
That
saying
those
right now?
specific types of.
I'm on 102R1 continued. So on the board packet, page 46, about halfway down the page, under decision and appeal.
Yeah, that may be.
I just feel, on that policy itself, that there's a lot of investigation that has to go on to get to that decision. And how are we supposed to do that as a board?
I don't think we should be involved with that.
I mean, that's one where, I mean, you're talking a lot of investigation into that serious accusation that is gonna have a lot of time involved in it. If it's a board decision, we're just getting presented this and this. We can't do any digging into it. That's why, I guess,
I can still find out for you guys, though.
Yeah.
That's why that is, and what is the reason for that B policy.
It does two things. One is, it allows our superintendent to then, you know, we can back him up, okay, sort of thing.
Right.
We, you know, I think most people think that when you elect someone to the school board, that's sort of the ultimate authority in this operation. And
But after several years, you know that's not true. So.
I know, yeah, that's true. But I mean, I would, to see that in a policy that excludes us
Right.
from that decision process doesn't sit well. I really don't want to deal with it, but I've dealt with a lot of things I didn't want to here. You know, I feel it's my responsibility as an elected official.
So I guess the question would be is, if this is IASB's language, why do they do it that way?
Right.
Is there something we don't know?
Yeah, let's investigate it a little
Yeah,
bit.
let's find out, yeah.
I'll find out, we'll call, maybe we'll call IASB and then we'll call Danielle on that one.
Yeah.
I'm sure they probably both have, and IASB is a free call, Danielle said.
Because I can see an argument for either way on this thing.
Yeah, it's just, I just want to be sure.
Yeah,
Okay, fair enough. No, I'm saying that you say that all the time, fair enough.
I'm rubbing off.
Okay.
Good.
Anything else on the first readings of board policy 100? Okay, then I take a motion and a second to approve the first reading of board policy series 100.
So moved.
second,
No, motion and a second to approve the first reading of board policies 100 series. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, we will have another reading at our next regular meeting, so, okay. Approved personnel business procedures. And they're listed in the board package. Scrolling down.
And then 119, and that's the next one on the screen.
Oh. Oh, okay. Okay. Any questions on any of it? Or you ready to go ahead and take a motion to approve those?
Yep.
If there's no questions, discussions, I take a motion.
Motion to approve.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the personnel business procedures as presented in the board packet. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? And they are approved. Financial report. So we talked last week, when I say we, Mark and Lisa and I, about what to present besides the bill. Legally, we have to present the bills in the board packet to be approved. And then the other thing we talked about from Lisa, and I'll let her go through this, is just some general fund balances. Everybody has this in here. One of the things that we want to do as we go through kind of a board level professional development type thing over the next year in the meetings is probably is financial professional development, because of we disbanded the finance committee and we do deal with a lot of money. So we want to present some things at work sessions and so forth, just to kind of improve the financial, what do we say? The term's lost on me. I'll get it later. Just the financial IQ is what, that's not, acumen, thank you. The financial acumen of the board, so, at least if there's anything you want to talk about on the general funds report.
No, just that this was a new report you kind of wanted where,
Yeah.
to show percentages for this year of expenditures spent so far and based on last year's, but I went ahead and added 2 years just to get
Okay.
general sense, although 2021 was really, for lack of better terms, messed up in a lot of financial ways because of COVID. So if there was anything that was out of the ordinary, I kind of put a note on the side, just that, so that you could notice that. And then I just kind of put a general overall at the bottom instead of normal trouble.
So I guess the way I'm reading this is September 2022 general fund totals. When we look at the tan lines for 22-23 budget year, we spent 12.86% of the budget so far. Going and looking at the 2 previous years before, we're at 12.65 and 14.1. One of the things we talked about is just to start with is, are we on track with how much we spent compared to previous years so that we know that we're not getting way out of whack financially? Because if all of a sudden we find out in January that we should have historically spent 45%, we spent 60%, now as a board we know something's going on, we need to probably make some adjustments. Does that make sense? Okay. So it looks like so far we're on track, pretty close to everything except for the transfers, but that's probably a timing issue is what I'm imagining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of it's like the construction and stuff.
Yeah,
that happen.
the stuff that, ESSER funds has to be transferred from general fund
Yep.
to capital, so most of that was done at the end of the year last year.
Okay. In other words, we're pretty much on track for more we know what we spent. Does that make sense? So that's one of the things that we want to present to the board, just kind of another financial tool for our board's financial management as part of our, like Mike talked about, our fiduciary responsibilities as
So,
elected officials. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
so I'll just make that
Yeah.
a normal monthly report.
Is this easy to do?
It is, yeah, it's got some-
Computer does it all
Yeah.
for you? Okay.
This one's easier to understand.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I'll stick to the other ones
Yeah.
as well,
Yeah.
once I get. my-
Yeah, the big tables, I'm still gonna look through,
Yeah.
but this just kind of boils it down to make sure that we're on track, so. Now, I will say, as you go through, I'll make my comments when we get, after we get on the financial reports. I'll make them later, so. All right, does that make sense on the financial reports? Okay, okay, so we're gonna add that piece to it on top of our normal process of approving the bills. Which is where we're at right now, is approving the bills and the financial reports.
And then also, for the work session, I'm gonna plan on having a high school project financial monthly review.
Okay. Yeah, if you didn't quite get that, at each work session, I've asked Lisa each work session to kind of do some sort of financial acumen type report for something that's going on in the district to help us understand that. And kind of my hope is as we get our financial acumen as a board up, that in the following year, we'll kind of take on maybe another professional development topic for the board, so. Okay. Question, comments on the financial report? Bills. There's no questions, so we want to approve the pay our bills. That would be a call for a motion or second to approve the financial report to pay our bills.
Motion approved.
Glad to hear that we want to pay our bills. Thank you very much. We have a motion and a second to approve the financial reports. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Financial reports are approved. Mark?
So since it's 6:04, I have been like an hour for my report, right?
Absolutely.
Just kidding.
Yeah, do we realize we're 34 minutes into this or what?
I was feeling like I could talk. No, I won't do that. Just kind of call out highlights, I know, because I email out each weekly update, and want to call out some updates for people who don't get those and kind of catch you up on some things. I actually did get one more update in email right before the meeting that I'll share here. So first off, most importantly, we had a wonderful homecoming week last week. Congratulations to the Athletic Hall of Fame members and the distinguished alum. Our students did a great job of cleaning up after the dance. I got to see the space where the dance was the next morning, and they cleaned up really well. You hardly know that there were 300 and some high school students there dancing, and as I hear it, it was around 300 and some high school students dancing, so the bulk of the student body participated, which is a cool thing. We really have excellent kids, and they really represented our district well. We have a lot to be proud of with our kids. Construction, Chico completed laying the conduit for the fiber. I got an email from Natel today. They were supposed to complete it prior to this week, but it will be completed this week by Friday. So that pushes us back.
But they're out of the way?
No,
They're not out of the way?
they're not out of the way. So I'll communicate that with Bi-State so that they're aware of what's going on there. They're supposed to be on site starting tomorrow now. We did a training for all of our staff on House File 802. This was a training that was put together by Allers and Cooney, our lawyer. This is the new state laws regarding diversity and how you talk about that within schools. So we made sure that our staff had a training on that for this. The state recently shared information to start making the 2023-2024 school year calendar. So I'll be working with a committee. I'll get some teachers, some non-certified, some administration together, and hopefully some parents and community. We'll get some feedback on a couple different options and try to do the best calendar you can do. I always say that the best way to rile people up is to make a school calendar. So, yeah.
It is not a rollback year, so this is going to be
Fantastic, that's good news. So a very important person to have involved in your calendar when you make your calendar is your AD. So Rich is going to be one of the members of that committee because a lot of things are affected by that calendar.
I don't understand the rollback.
every 6 years, the weeks move. So like if you're Thanksgiving, all of a sudden, there might be a ballgame playing on Thanksgiving, so they move your weeks roll back.
Okay.
So it makes everything.
So it's a sports rollback
Yeah.
calendar? Okay, got
So I'm gonna say the wrong thing when I say this, so correct me. I believe that it's called the unified calendar.
It is, yes.
So the activity organizations work together to build a, this is week 1, this is week 2. They've got a specific week in July, I think, that's free from all activities. You can't have practices, it's family week. So when Rich talks about that, he's talking about how they have to every 6 years push back because those weeks get pushed along. So that's a big part when you work on the calendar, to try to make sure you're lined up with that, so you're not taking a break during a week that's kind of hot and heavy in the playoffs schedule or something. Upcoming, we will have a closed session on evaluation at the next meeting. I have goals ready to discuss with the team and a sample of what artifacts are going to look like in the evaluation document. I'm one that I like to plug those in as I go, so you'll get a little kind of preview of what I'll put together for you to be able to review by the end of the year. And then Wednesday the 19th, at 1 o'clock, we have our first construction update meeting for the high school in the Bi-State trailer. So I think we talked about maybe trying to get a couple board members to go to those as we go, just to have some people that are in the know in there. So definitely something that we want to look at, because I'm not a construction expert by any means. So I would definitely welcome a lot of help on that front. Aaron will obviously be there, and he's the expert on what we need, but some of your expertise would be greatly appreciated too.
What day is that again?
Wednesday the 19th at 1. This first one will be fairly low key, but we are going to get some information from Rochelle on the preschool stuff. Because remember, we had to back off a lot in scope on the preschool to be able to fit it on her budget. So she's got some drawings for us and some plans on how we can bid that out and make it a summer project. That's that.
Okay.
I didn't have an hour.
That's okay, that's okay.
Question about the moving the fiber optic. Did
Is the conduit ours or theirs?
So I asked that question, and I was given two different answers. We spent a whole day looking at board packets, board agendas, board meeting notes. Our contract says that it belongs to them, but when I talked to Mike had said that, that's yours, I guess, until you're done with it. Fiber's ours, but I guess that's yours. So, and then also to the, whose fiber runs through our area, we're still, I'll admit to some confusion still on that, because I've talked to him about it, and he says that our fiber is about 14 strands, that it said in the contract is 14 strands within the middle of a larger, I'm gonna say wire, I know that's the wrong term for that. Bundle of strands. So what I see coming in, because we went out, Kevin and I one evening went out to look at the bundle that's coming in, and it's pretty thick. So he was going to come and meet with a few of us and try to explain it. I kind of wanted to explain a little bit more in layman's terms to be able to speak more intelligently to everybody too that. I do know, just looking at the way that Locator laid out the lines when they came out and did the locating for us, it does bisect a corner of our lot. So if that is truly the line that's then running out to other places, then yes, it does run through our land just a little bit. Now they could easily hop up on the poles, because and if Cameron is watching at home, he'll probably say I'm using this wrong. They demarc from the pole to come down to us there. So they probably could leave those fibers up there that way. But I just need him to explain a little bit more. I think it was, I'll admit, this fiber thing has me, because I honestly thought it was internet at one point. So I'm just learning a lot about fiber.
Yeah, Mark and Lisa found out that this contract originally goes back, the RFP goes back to 1999.
Yeah, I knew it had to be back.
I didn't know it was that far
Because
back.
I did some checking and
And-
nobody knew anything about it.
Yeah, there's not a lot of good documentation from 1999.
Yeah, okay. My next question is, it's in a room at the old high school now. Who gets charged when they move it out of that room and tear that down?
So the good news is it's actually in a room, it's in the old ICN room.
Inside.
It comes into a closet
Okay.
in the old ICN room.
It's in the tech wing.
I
yeah.
think that
Yeah.
got maybe.
We went and looked at it,
when they
yeah.
did that.
Okay, I'm good then, I'm good.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, otherwise, if it's going into the building that's being torn down, we're not gonna pay twice to have it moved.
No.
That's your point, I like it.
Right.
Yeah,
And the crazy thing is, I mean, we're talking 8 feet. It had to be moved. Like, this is all over 8 feet.
yeah. And then, there was some question as to whether all of that that's in our building is just ours, or is it more than that?
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
That's what he needs to come and explain
Yeah.
to us.
Yeah, if it's more than that, then we need to,
Because I have a lot of questions on that, because if it's out there at the curb, why can't they just split off and bring ours in? Why does everything have to come in a loop-de-loop and go back out? Because
Yeah.
I have fiber from them in my business, and I just have my line coming in, I don't have everybody's backbone.
yeah.
So I don't understand why, other than that's the way it was set up in 1999, we gotta fix it, is why is all that looping through? So,
Okay.
yes,
Really more questions than answers right now.
Yeah.
yeah,
But we got, it's
Yep.
going to be moved. and-
We're gonna be able to continue with our construction for
Okay.
now at least. And the nice thing about it being through the conduit is it can be changed a little bit more easily if it has to be changed down the road. At least that's my understanding. I'm definitely not an expert, but that's what I understand.
no, those are all good questions, so, okay. All right, I'm just gonna make a couple comments and we're gonna get on to board takeaways. I said earlier about I really appreciate everybody's time going to IASB coming up in November. If you've looked at your registration, you'll see that Lisa kind of pre-enrolled you on the first day in a couple of seminars, okay? And I think everybody's probably enrolled in Finance 101, okay? And then, I don't know what everybody's enrolled in for the second one, but please go through, because ISB's been sent, like me, you're getting stuff in the mail a couple times a week on this thing. is, or go log in, because everybody should have a login to get into ISB website as a board member. Go through and make sure those are the seminars you want to be in. Here's the reason why. We pay convention fees to be speakers and food and all that kind of stuff. This is kind of pre-convention stuff, is what they call it. And we pay extra for each one of those seminars, okay? Which is fine. You know, it's an investment I think that's necessary and appropriate. Just make sure those are the sessions you want to go to, okay? And the other reason is they print out tickets. There'll be a little check-in desk. And they'll give, you go in and you'll check in, they'll give you your 2 little ticket stubs, because you can't get into one of those seminars that day unless you got a ticket for that session. And if you want to say, ooh, I don't really know if I want to go to this one, I want to go to that one, you are in a space availability to change on that day, okay? So go in and look at those sessions and make sure those are the ones that you want to take, okay? All right, so that's my thing on the IASB.
But the final program hasn't been sent to us yet, has it? All the sessions. It's just the big things, right?
Yeah, well, those, the ones that I'm talking about, those are already set.
Yeah, I can understand that, but I want to see what's opposite those things before I make a decision.
And you can go on the website,
I
it
can,
is listed out there.
everything's on there now? Okay, last time I looked at it was just
Okay.
half-baked, it looked like to me.
Okay. Okay. Okay, I'm looking forward to it personally, so. Let's do board takeaways, and we started last time with, let's start with Bob.
Come back to me, I'm still thinking.
This is a little harder, but it's shorter, isn't it?
Right, yeah, it wasn't anything all that significant.
All right, so it's gonna be hard, because everybody's gonna take them away from, we'll do that.
All right.
I guess, I appreciate working on the school calendar early. That seemed like always a contentious thing, we need to get that ironed out. And I understand that Mr. Parker's, you know, it plays a big part in that. And I'm pleased to hear that our students are behaving in a respectful way. Because I keep hearing from referees and coaches and other people involved in sports, and it's pretty ugly climate out there right now. And I hope that we are doing everything we can to make sure our students behave appropriately. And parents.
I got a message from the officiating team Friday night congratulating us on our student section and our coaching staff, and I will for everybody. So,
I'll tell you, that's outstanding to hear.
yep, and I gave that little shout out to all the coaches and sent it to them. So.
Yeah, thank you, and, yeah. Yeah, that's awesome to hear, so. Okay.
I just think hats off to everybody for a great homecoming week, heard nothing but good things about it. And also, Mr. Taylor, you had I'll give you the forward again, but you had a nice little letter that you had received from the CHS student that you did share on Facebook. So for those of you who didn't see that, he did get a letter that stated that how awesome it was to see him in our schools at our events. And their years of being in the district, they've never seen that before, and that it was appreciated. So Mark, as a parent first, thank you. Thanks.
Chris,
And it also has to do with Mark, it's not on the same lines, but your work on board policy and getting us back into compliance is a real big thing. Thanks.
Thanks a lot, guys.
hey, at least you're not Bob.
Yeah, hard, Bob.
Are you ready yet?
I'm ready to.
He's got it.
No, I think everybody in the staff and everything, from what I've seen from the start of this school year, being in the schools and stuff, everything, it seems like a different school district as far as student engagement, just the whole staff, everything seems to be going so smoothly from being in the schools a lot. And good job.
As far as mine, I start off, I'm so glad to see everybody in the room here. What I'm also thinking about is how can we make the best use of your time? So, because I see, Mike's in here, Aaron's in here, and pre-COVID, I guess Tim Castor was in here. But I want to make sure if you guys are here, I don't know what the right thing is. We have a transportation report, do we get a facilities report from Aaron, do we get a report from, just a little quick 2 or 3 minutes from it. But what I want to make sure is that if you're coming here, it's not just to sit there because we made you come here. I want your time to be valuable. So I guess my takeaway / challenge is, please give some feedback to Mark on what you think you can do to kind of add and contribute to this, because we value you here. We just want to make sure that your time, that you feel your time is used to value. So that's kind of my takeaway / challenge. So. Tim.
Hard for me. I'm going to repeat a little bit here, but the homecoming week was so fun. My children they loved the whole week, and then the ball game was awesome. Friday night, that was great, and it was very nice to see how many people came out. It was just, that was great.
I brought a big bag of cash in today.
So you're really happy. That's really what you're happy about this.
So, and then the rolling calendar, I'll throw that in there. I never thought about that. That makes perfect sense with the leap years. Well, there's a wrench in there every 6 years. And
All of a sudden, you got a game on Sunday, that's not good.
it's right.
Yeah. Bob?
Okay, this stuff is a good move, I think. I want to go in a different direction now. I'd like the administration team to do a little thinking about Pancake Day. Should our school be a little bit more involved? The number of bands that came from out of town is a big improvement. A weakness in that Pancake Day thing is floats. And I wonder if and I don't want extra work for teachers, but if there are people interested, just talking to somebody probably my age, she said when she was in school, we're talking about old Garfield, old Lincoln, that each of those buildings had to do a float back then. And the alternative school used to do, and that was a big learning thing, because often kids at the alternative school haven't done projects together, created something, and then build it. And we, over the years, we got away from that. But in the first years of the alternative school, they always had a float in the Pancake Day, and that's a group that probably has some free time to do that. I don't think you can demand any more from the high school kids if you're in band and football, all that. I don't think there can be any float going on there. Maybe there's some group that would do that. But think about how maybe K through 8 could be more involved in Pancake Day without being a whole lot of extra work. Moulton, every teacher's required to make a float for the Moulton parade, and then they come over here to win prizes, but we're using the same float again kind of thing. And, but we don't have that involvement that they have over there.
So what I hear you saying is we're asking the community to get more involved, we should get more involved in the community.
Yeah, because I think there's some value in kids experiencing, working together and developing something. There's some self-esteem there, and there's become part of the school, and there are a whole bunch of kids who don't do anything who might be interested in doing that.
Bob, I think that's great. My letter to the staff to start this year, I talked about PACES, which is Positive Childhood Experiences. You've probably heard about ACEs, Adverse Childhood Experiences, that typically happen to kids living in poverty and things that really have deleterious effects on their development as productive adults. And PACEs are what we can do to counteract them, and one that schools have direct input on is engaging in community traditions. So I think that's a really good point.
But I don't know how to make it happen. Right? You guys talk about it, see what's easy.
You could at least throw the idea out.
Yeah.
Just say that, hey, maybe, in the past, each class made a play. I mean, at high school.
Right.
I mean, I remember teaching 4th grade at Bolton, and somebody, all of a sudden, they said, you're gonna build a float. And I said, it's not in my contract. And they said, yeah, it is.
And they gave you $25 to build the.
Yeah, they gave me $25 to build it.
And to do that,
It is in the contract now. It is in the-
What?
they
To build a
get-
float?
They get paid to, .5 for the jamboree.
They get paid by.
Oh, in
0.5.
Malton?
Yeah,
They didn't make me.
they do now. They do now.
Yeah.
So that is a good idea,
Little
because the one thing that everybody wants that we don't have enough of is time.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of businesses that if they had the Stanford Resources, they would spend the money to build the float. So that could be another partnership with the community. Hey, this company X, sponsoring the 8th grade. Well,
Yeah,
so
that
there's-
makes sense.
There's some, I think definitely some ideas that could.
Because businesses are not in the float business like they were, however many years ago. I came here 40-some years ago.
But they got the money. They got the money.
That's true.
They just don't have the time. Yeah.
It's worth kicking around, that's
Yeah.
for sure.
That was a good last person.
That's a good one.
Well, it took time.
Thanks for the delay, Bob, that was good. Okay. Having completed the board takeaways, it is 6:26. 3 months ago, we would have been starting our meeting in 4 minutes. So, thank you to staff and everything you do. Thank you, Beck, for getting everything online. I don't know if cameras online, because we can't see all that way. So, thanks to staff, Lisa, Mark, for putting all this together for us. With that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We have a motion, a second to adjourn. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Everybody else, stay in your seat. Thank you. Have a good